Welcome back to the SMITE Console League, and thanks for bearing with us as we get everything ready for some more console action again. It's Finch, and still I'm joined by Anatoly, and you know what? I'm still feeling good about it. Happy to have you up here, man.
It's a great Monday.
It's OutCold up against VGSGods. OutCold did drop, or rather win that first game, so VGSGods are down 0-1 as of right now. And really, things could end in this very next game. OutCold looked much better and like the OutCold that I remembered in this game.
That's right. Last week, dropping a set was uncharacteristic of them. Their very first loss so far as we're approaching, or we're in the middle of week number 10, so getting closer and closer to the end.
Yeah, and OutCold still look like the team that's far enough away, but maybe VGSGods can slow them down. They're coming off their first win last week as well, or their second win, first win in a while. Let's go ahead and get those picks and bans up here on the screen so we can see who's going to be in the first pick slot. It'll be VGSGods this time, and my only question is, now that they're first pick, there's no way that OutCold get to have Merlin and Xbalanque, right? This
you
time,
would think that,
I would
Finch.
hope for sure.
But the thing was that OutCold Gaming could have picked Merlin if they wanted to, because it was a Hunbat's first pick.
That's right,
and
it's been banned, by the way, so no Unbots allowed. Not here, not in this game. Get him out of there.
It's not here anymore, Finch. Hunbat's is removed from the game. But Merlin and Arthur still available. Wasn't even picked or banned that
That's
last
right.
game.
King Arthur wasn't looked at all. Now, this Hera ban is one that we did see last time, which has to be aimed at Cynortas in particular. The Jormungandr ban is there again as well. So, I mean, we still live in this parallel universe where they're okay with Achilles and Xbalanque and King Arthur and Merlin all being in this game. So that's what's going to happen. But VGSGods, again, don't want to prioritize any of those gods. I mean, if you're looking for a hunter early,
so this
it would
is
be
aggressive.
Xbalanque is what I'm thinking.
Yes, you would want that for team fights, especially with the Darkest of Nights.
Sure.
Controlling, everyone's vision. But if you're looking for damage and poke, Ullr makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
First picking Ullr, a little unnecessary. I don't think OCG was even planning on doing that, especially when it wasn't picked or banned in game number 1.
Yeah, and so I could see some ideas for this, right? Maybe they want to do like a double hunter type of composition or something like that. But there's so many other pieces to that composition you'd want. I'd even understand if you prioritized Fafnir here, because that's how often he is sometimes looked at. And as soon as you reveal your hand that's double hunter, he'll get taken. But if it's just an Ullr that you want, or if you just want dual lane pressure, then I mean, at least from where I'm sitting, it's curious, because exactly that's going to happen, where they'll take Merlin Xbalanque.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, Finch. OutCold Gaming are still feeling very confident after that last game, and it is the double hunter.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Great analysis.
That's what this. I mean, it makes sense, right? But but like you already said, you can do this exact double hunter thing later, right? I don't know. That's not the piece that you're worried about getting taken away from you. Yeah, I don't know. That's what it looked like. I totally understand what they were thinking. It's just you don't need to do it that early.
Finch, I promise it's going to be okay, because not only are we getting double hunter, we're getting double hunter with an Isis.
Yeah, so the Isis is going somewhere. I think more likely the Isis moves here, or
Isis is probably mid, and we just might see an aggressive either double hunter lane, or we might see solo Ullr and then duo lane Hachiman.
Maybe Solar. I'm trying to find a way to say it together, but I don't think it quite works. Robin being picked up. Remember, Achilles and King Arthur are still on the table here as well. As good as Robin is, Achilles pretty good too, but can't complain when you've got someone who's so good at diving the backline on this team. The overhead kick can get him away from a lot of stuff as well, so I certainly like this Robin. And great idea to ban this Fafnir. This is exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Fafnir is the one that you'd want.
Objective control is good to deny out of VGSGods, knowing that they have the Isis for circle protection, but it could also be Isis support, technically. Like, that has great lane push. You put that with an Ullr together, they're going to be able to control that lane, invade some purple buffs. On top of that, use the Isis passive to get more MP5 and HP5 for the Ullr that's going to be looking to play aggressive.
I agree, and I think that might be what they're trying to do, right, is take away some of this control. They're clearly not sold that this Isis is that a support has been picked yet, and I think OutCold are right to think that. So they take the Kumbhakarna and the Fafnir, two gods that are great at setting up for these hunters and controlling the fight and keeping them locked down for them to get in multiple autos and abilities. So I like where OutCold's heads are at. They've got a great draft so far. I am slightly worried for VGS.
A little bit as well. Merlin was played fantastically by Cynortas in the previous game. Expect to see the same idea, where the only thing that they mixed up thus far is the Robin jungle, which is probably a better early game pick pick for Kindred Warrior.
And they were already not doing too bad in that early game anyway, so now they have someone who's even stronger in it. And they're going to be able to bring back in the Terra for mrsacx as well. So right now, OutCold are looking plenty scary. Ymir comes through for VGS, and as much as we were saying they might be missing out on the Control Guardian, I mean, between him and the Isis, and now a Geb as well, they've got a decent amount of it. I just don't know where everyone's going. Maybe this is an Ullr in the jungle then? Or totally, what are you seeing here?
So I'm seeing a, Ullr jungle makes sense. It could also be still an Isis support, because this reminds me of Season 4 Elevate, where it's double Physical Hunter and then triple Guardian. The only difference is that this is an Isis as the magical Guardian as opposed to a traditional Guardian.
That's a great point.
But it still has the same amount of control that you would want out of another typical Guardian.
No, that's a great idea. That's a great parallel, and you're right that Isis can fulfill a lot of that same role, maybe just not quite as tanky for this team too. So very interesting to see where all this stuff from VGSGods is going to go. On the other side though, OutCold have picked up a Hebo, and they've said we can do plenty of damage in our own right. Curious where all this is going on their side, as well as a lot of the times Hebo can be jungle nowadays. But let's go ahead and get it into the action totally. I just want to know where all these picks are going to be going. VGSGods up against OutCold. Let's get it back to Tom and Hindu.
Hot diggity dog. OutCold Gaming.
What about watching?
I don't know, man.
Like, what is that comp?
I don't know.
I'm very confused about where VGS are going to put all these characters. Ymir solo? Okay.
I love Ymir solo. I hate Ullr jungle.
I mean, Ymir's not been in the meta for a hot minute, and there's been a few reasons for it, mainly down to the fact that, well, mobility is important, and Ymir is one of the slower characters in the game.
Yeah, but he's got the ability to fight over there in the solo lane. I actually like Ymir solo. I think he's a decent pick.
Yeah, with Hunter's Blessing, yeah.
I was just about to bring that up. Hunter's Blessing is a different story.
And an Ullr jungle, yeah. Let's do it.
I hate it.
In some ways, VGSGods, when I was looking at the comp, I'm like, okay, maybe it's to do with the fact of Hunter's being left 1v1 on the left-hand side, right? So that means that, well, maybe having something a little bit better in the early game, like a Ymir or a bit of aggression on the right side could be helpful. That's Hunter's Blessing for you. That's why he's whacking away so much, and mrsacx is not respecting that. Got a little bit too close, and now that's Ymir!
Here you go. Here you go.
And, yeah, wrap it up, boys. Moving on.
Here you go.
Xbox up next, right?
Here you go.
I think this composition is a little bit on the crazy side.
This
overall.
is a wackadoo composition. Like I said, I really like Ymir. It's not that far out of the ordinary. I like Ymir solo. The Hunter's Blessing is a little kind of cheese. We get it. We get it. Not good enough.
It enhances your basic attacks just a little bit more.
And that works with the passive.
Gives you a bit of mana as well with the Hunter's Blessing, but you're not very tanky. Warrior's Blessing gives you some sustain, gives you a little bit more tankiness. Same can be said for Guardian's Blessing. It's the reason you see those two in the solo lane a little bit more so. If Hunter's Blessing was really effective in the solo lane, I think we would have seen it before it was Ymir first.
I mean, well, the thing is with Ymir's passive, you're getting 100% of your basic attacks in there has effective with Frostbite, so you're looking for the cheese kill there. That's really all you're looking for here with the Hunter's Blessing on the Ymir specifically. Honestly, I would have gone the Divio start. I would have forewent any starter item and would have went Warlock's tier 2.
Nice axe from ClawLegend now on this rotation over. I like the fact that they're trying to play from Marky Sparky a little bit by sending the Ull over there early on at least, just trying to facilitate him in the early game. Just Line's going to play aggressive. He did so all of game one, so no real surprise to see Marky Sparky get some support here at the start. Just a shame they don't find the kill, but it didn't get the beads at least.
So my beef with Ull jungle is actually interesting. Because I don't hate Ull jungle in theory. Not needing an ultimate for a good gank is actually a really big deal. That's why I like tier jungle. You don't need to wait on this elaborate cooldown. You go in, you axe stun somebody, you combo them, and if it didn't work, you do it again in 15 seconds. I kind of like that, Graham, but without having access to a big daddy ultimate, you don't have moments that are those gigantic game-changing moments.
My biggest problem with the composition they put together here more than anything else was we watch FataliTyxFire get a little bit too over-aggressive on this right-hand side, get collapsed on by 4. Too early for a Gold Fury, so FataliTyxFire should die here, and if he doesn't,
Beads?
I'm surprised.
Well, you use Beads of Rune. The old solo lane Beads there.
But the problem with this comp from VGSGods is if you're at a Phoenix line defending or aggressing, where's the engagement going to come from? And unless you've got a Blink, you have no engage. You're relying on Blink from a Ymir or a Geb, and that's it. There's no other... Oh, what, a Spirit Ball?
Siege? Oh, man. There are... even the Siege part, you've got Isis Circle of Protection. You know, the VGSGods comp is awkward.
It's one of those things.
But I don't think it's a loss.
If you can get off to a really, really good start,
yes.
and your opposition allows that to happen, you can make things happen in this comp, sure. But I think this is something that's just a little bit outlandish. Maybe they're trying to, you know, OutCold Gaming are one of the better teams so far with how things have gone so far this season. So maybe VGSGods are trying to throw them for a bit of a loop with this, but it's not going to work out. We've seen this time and time again with the Pro League too. When the bottom teams go against the top, you'll see some unconventional strategies, but they've got a little bit of thought into them. And I don't feel like there's been enough thought into this overall from VGSGods.
Exactly. So I get it. The Ymir's because the problem is Ullr can do crazy things and have game-changing moments when other people set him up. That's why you have the CC-heavy Ymir over there on the right side. Ymir is going to be able to enable ClawLegend to find these opportunities. If you're sieging, oTPC, LOM, and OP is going to be able to kind of provide some defense with the ultimate. Relying on a Blink Gebolt is not unheard of. A lot of this kind of makes sense, but then I just look at the builds and I'm disgusted at first item Transcendence. It is just simply the wrong choice on a jungler, most importantly. The Hunter's Blessing Ymir is, I think, to use your word, cheeky strategy that doesn't really line up in the real world. I think there's a lot of half-baked strategy going into VGSGods' composition, which is a scathing review, I get it.
Hey,
but I think they're almost there.
Maybe we're wrong. We'll find out. Can OutCold Gaming get shut down by this comp? If there is, we all, you know, we just hold our hands up and go, you guys were right, you know? Clearly, Ymir is the way to go to find the wins.
That's what I'm saying, is that I think this composition, at first glance, I was disgusted with it. On second glance, it's not my favorite comp, but I see what they're going for, and then on a tertiary glance at a third time, and I look deeper, more intrinsically at it, the itemization is a little bit rough, the start has been a little bit rough.
ClawLegend getting aggressive in the jungle, but remember, he has to go beads as well. The fact his ult doesn't have any CC immunity whatsoever, so we'll have to avoid a lot of the damage that's going to be coming his way. He did leap away as mrsacx used the ultimate there, but it's all about the blue buff on the right-hand side, and both teams grouping up.
Has to look for the axe form because Ymir's in the back. Hebo's around the corner. Kinder Warrior on a much different pick than last time. Hunbat's the facilitator, and Hebo much more the straightforward.
Still a fight after the fact, though, as FataliTyxFire tries to get back towards lane, but walks through free. Cataclysm does not connect at all. However, the crushing wave from Kinder will. After the fact, the beads will immune the freeze, and Kinder picks up a kill.
Beautiful play there by Kinder Warrior. You're really understanding how to play this Hebo in the jungle. Might get controlled by Ymir on the top side, but his team is finishing what he started. OutCold Gaming with 3 kills so far, one of them belonging to the Hopwa in the jungle. And FataliTyxFire going all the way. Tier Toxic.
Oh, we don't get to catch that kill, but I don't know how ClawLegend survived in that situation. Bit of disrespect more than anything from FataliTyxFire diving in for it. Because ClawLegend, we were going to mention, you know, the Transcendence start, it takes a long time to build up, and he's gone for the Transcendence before boots, which means he's very immobile, even with speed buff. And that's why Ravana was able to close him down there, but just bit off a little bit more than he can chew. The overall fight there was VGSGods aggressing onto the blue buff, didn't find it, and the fight ended up being a wash. But after the fact, it was FataliTyxFire's rotation back to the solo lane that set up a fight that went OutCold's way.
I like that you say a wash, because it was Kinder Warrior just putting everybody in the rinse cycle over there. Hit 2 or 3 players with a single crushing wave, finishes off Isis with the old one, and nice punch.
Speaking of washes, I'm surprised we're not seeing much Jing 10 yet. I think people are kind of sleeping on Jing. I'm expecting maybe we might see him a little bit as this week goes on in the Pro League. If he gets slept on again, I'm really shocked, because Jing's quietly sleeper right now, in all honesty.
Xing Chen is real tough to deal with in the dual lane. Solos well. If that character could jungle, it would be miserable. Imagine getting Blink washing machine ulted.
In this meta, there's a chance he could do a bit of jungler, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. But if you've got the supports where they are at this stage, it's not going to be so bad.
ClawLegend long-range shot. I always like good, accurate Ullr play.
Ooh, forces the shield and the defensive ult. That was just Kinder walking at him too.
Look at ExiLenT. He saw OTCP drop like FataliTyxFire. He dropped his ultimate, and Geb was like, what? Why'd you do that?
Well, early on, you see the pick on the right-hand side, taking out FataliTyxFire again, but mrsacx over here drops the ult himself, and the burn from Merlin causes a problem, but mrsacx gets caught thanks to the CC chain out of the Ullr and ISIS.
Kinder Warrior's here. I don't like the idea. Blink is not something he has access to, so I don't want to see Kinder Warrior involve himself, and he won't.
But the longer this game goes on, the more confident you can feel as an OutCold Gaming fan.
Yes.
Because of the fact the composition towards the later stages of the game is going to evolve much better than that of VGSGods. Guardians generally cap out at a certain point and they'll turn more to CC bots than anything with a nice chunk of health pool. But then the likes of Ullr kind of does drop off. He's not one of the steroid hunters that you like to see like a Xbalanque, like a Hachiman in the later stages. So they're going to lose a little bit. So as long as OutCold Gaming don't lose too much in the early game, which they've not, they're still up so far overall, it won't be too bad.
That said, VGSGods kind of right now need to be looking for a little bit of success. They're going to be stepping into their mid-game in a matter of moments, and that's really where the Ymir pick, the Ullr pick, the ISIS pick, everything is really going to shine here. Minutes 10 to 15. So what I want to see out of VGSGods is to be a little bit more aggressive and just go on it.
And you've seen that VGSGods play quite aggressive already. They're invading the blue buff, taking fights that may a natural eye look like a crazy fight, but most of the time it seems calculated. They're playing through the Ymir Ullr combo is a lot of sense with what they've got going for them there. Try and get Ymir a lead, try and get Ullr a lead in the jungle, put down the solo laner and jungler early. It'll slow down the pace that OutCold Gaming can find in the later stages.
See how it's going right on now. Ooh, we're going to miss the axe. FataliTyxFire flip kicks the combo. And that's troublesome.
The one thing that's happening with FataliTyxFire so far, though, is he's getting baited into the fact that he's got a matchup that favors him overall. The problem is that he's getting so aggressive that they're collapsing on him time again because he's setting up for kills or at least turnaround plays.
ClawLegend misses the 3, misses the 1. Kinder Warrior almost takes care of him, but Ullr able to waddle out of there. Close. Doesn't fall.
I'm surprised you called it Ullr waddled. I'm like, I don't know if... Does Ullr look like he waddles?
No, you ever...
Well, there's a Just Lion play if I've ever seen one. Look at that ham.
Ooh, horse comes out as well. Nice little aggressive take there.
Surprised Just Lion didn't actually pop the ultimate. As soon as that was used, I mean, both escapes from Hachiman were consumed. He had the opportunity to pop the Darkest of Nights and maybe make the play. Could have been concerned about a potential turnaround of OutCold having a rotation coming over, but
yeah, you see all the teammates of his, meaning Just Lions, kind of like grouped up on the right side. They have no idea where VGSGods is. They were at base, but he don't know that.
Golfy is available on this left-hand side. No real surprise the OutCold Gaming is starting to group up around it. Although wall placements on the left, like you said, VGSGods have pretty good control as it stands. Checking in builds, nothing really too surprising throughout at the moment. You see the Spear of Desolation online for oTPC in the mid lane. Pretty useful on ISIS, but in the dual lane.
Just Lion gets dash on. Mark standing behind his minions. Smart play there. As the ultimate allows Just Lion to get range, but not pierce.
Right-hand side, ClawLegend looking for a gank again. Freeze avoided by Fatality, and the Duke back avoids the axe too. ClawLegend off the mark with most of the auto attacks, and here comes the ult from TierToxic as he's tanking it up. That'll be enough damage there so far. Shoes of Focus and base stats is good enough.
ISIS trying to run away and will be safe and sound. Comes Evo. Water Cannon hits 1. Water Cannon's going to hit 2 after the knockup. Kinder Warrior stunned and has to avoid the inaccuracy of ClawLegend that we've seen so far.
Oh, he might change it now, though.
Nope.
Man, both of them being so brave for nosing. I don't even know why Kinder Warrior is that close to the... Like, Kinder Warrior didn't need to be that close, in my opinion, because of the fact that he's not going to get the killing blow in the minions, right? But he'll still get gold for the tower hitting it anyway.
Well,
so
FataliTyxFire told him, he's like, yo, that Ullr, he missed 4 basic attacks, his 3, his 1, his 3 a second time, his 1 a second time, and then I got blown up by a Ymir ult.
And if I'm Kinder Warrior, they're saying, okay, Fatality, well, if that's the case, can you stop freaking dying and giving this dude 3 kills so far, right? Like, if it's that simple and he's missing that many shots, why has he got 3 kills off of you?
Well, that's because TierToxic just hit the Ymir ult for full damage. Very rarely do you see that fully charged Ymir Ymir ult.
Well, in the old days, sure, and I agree with that, but now, because of the changes to the Ymir ult, because he gets more of a slow throughout it, it's actually making it a little bit easier to confirm.
That's fair.
So the damage numbers have stayed the same, it's just the slow percent is actually a little bit higher now and causes more problems.
So you're seeing those higher damage numbers come out. Even though they were always there, it was a little bit harder to confirm.
Yeah, I think Ymir ult, Guan ult are probably the two still at the top end of ultimates, if I remember correctly. At least
Guan is still there, yeah.
Obviously, Isis is near there as well, but that's a
Anubis.
fully charged.
Anubis.
Yes, that's a character.
He's the one with the high damage. Death
Yeah.
Gaze?
I think it's a little bit easier to deal damage with that, though, than some of the other ones we were mentioning. Circle of Protection is charging, first of all, to get max damage out. Same for Ymir ult.
It's tough.
Same for Guan ult, to be fair. You've got to land all those.
Guan ult is tough. Tip for you to take home with you. Some players don't know.
What if they're already home?
Well, then you can keep this at home.
Oh, okay.
You can press S, or whatever your key to back step,
Yeah.
to go slower. And W, or whatever your key to go forward, to go faster.
Okay.
On the horse.
Why are you on Guan horse?
On the horse.
Okay.
Not in general.
You just didn't really explain that bit. You were like, yeah, press backwards and you'll move slower. And I'm like, no, you'll go backwards. Oh, you're talking about Guan
On the horse, yeah. On the Guan horse, you can manipulate your movement speed.
Mid lane pressure from mrsacx. Nice little route. Forces Geb to shield himself. And just at the same time, Kinder walks on the corner. Circle of Protection was used. And that allows him to escape. But a lot of defensive ultimates used there by VGS just to survive.
I don't even know if oTPC needed to drop that ultimate. Better safe than sorry, and I respect the play.
I think at the same time, if he doesn't drop the ultimate there in iiExiLenT, that's fine. But Kinder was actually inside it, held that fort. Now he doesn't have his ultimate, he doesn't have any life left. And the Burning Flesh, well, Cynortas will make it Burning Flesh.
Blink in from Tier Toxic. Whiff. Strike 1. Wall. Strike 2.
Body block by Geb, strike 3. And that's what I'm looking at here is you're looking at the blinks. You're looking at Ymir, you're looking at Geb. They're both going to have to go blink, which means you're investing in relics for, well, engaging. Marky Sparky losing a trade here against Just Lion. But Just Lion will get credit for the kill. After the fact, though, the collapse from iiExiLenT is not going to be enough as a crushing wave. He was served up on a platter.
3-0-0. Looking to make it 4, but Water Cannon finds the target. Double kill for the Waterman.
And meanwhile, as you said, you saw the blinking from Ymir. He's rotated from solo lane to come to mid to try and make a play. They're losing Gold Fury. They could lose a tier 1 tower on the right-hand side as well to all those minions, especially with Fatality Proxy farming. OutCold Gaming now have a 4K lead.
3-1-5 for mrsacx here on the Terra. Just that's a crazy slash line for the Terra. Now, gotta give credit where it's due. Number 1 on the player damage is our jungle Ullr. Number 1 on the impact damage, probably not Ullr.
Well, it's the fact after the Ullr disappears off that list of player damage, look at the next 3. It's the carries from OutCold Gaming.
Yeah.
And they're all having a good time with things too. I think this works out really well for them. I don't think OutCold Gaming have really been worried about how the start of this went. Maybe they're a little bit disappointed how the laning phase began on that right-hand side and how many times Fatality has died. But it's cause and effect more than anything else.
Yep.
And it's allowed Kinder to get a 4-0-0 lead and a 1-level lead in the jungle over someone that's got 3 kills themselves.
One of my problems here is watching the players kind of react.
React to
Some of the plays that we're seeing develop throughout the game. We're not seeing the answer back from VGSGods. You've seen OutCold Gaming adapt and adjust to the Ullr jungle and the damage that's going to come out of the Ymir, but
look
we
at
haven't
iiExiLenT
seen VGSGods adapt to that.
But look at iiExiLenT. He did everything he could. He landed the shield. It prevented the spout damage, but after the fact, he couldn't deal with it anymore.
Where's the vision?
Isis just disappeared.
You should know the Hebo's coming out.
That's
You've
fair.
been ganked by Hebo 5 times now, as Hebo is 5 kills without a death. There's no vision adaptation. There's no heavy investment into magical defense. I want to see a heart word yesterday. We started Thebes. Maybe now you're starting the heart word. Fine, I won't really complain about that. But there's just not enough adaptation. This Hebo is destroying your team. We don't see a change in vision. We don't see a change in optimization, and we don't see a change in gameplay. If I'm Marky Sparky, I'm not up that far.
Oh, Marky Sparky got to run away, and you're right. He will use the horse to get away from danger. As OutCold Gaming starts to siege up the mid lane a little bit more. The biggest thing is, Tom, I get it. Like Kinder Warrior's going off on the Hebo, but who is the person on that squad? What is the character that you're expecting from VGSGods to take out this Hebo? Because I'm looking at Ymir and I'm like, Ymir's not going to do anything against a Hebo.
Ull and Ymir have to combine. Ymir has to chase out beads and then allow Ull to combo.
And that's fair, but then if you invest in 2 characters just for the Hebo, that means somebody else is spare.
Sure. That's true, and that's just the nature of the composition that OCG has brought out. Hebo really demands that much prowess.
Just too far behind at the moment, VGSGods already. You can tell they just commit quite a bit there in the mid lane. Full CC chain onto a Terra, and Terra just kind of tickled him, and then Kinder turns up, removes oTPC from the equation one more time, and still mrsacx getting aggressive.
Now that one, I don't know what you're going to do about that. Hebo just blinking on you, no chance to survive. Hebo's got to watch his backside, though, as he dodges the stun out of the Hebo. Beads is weird. That was a bad look. And now OutCold Gaming kind of look to be aggressive, but VGSGods is the one that killed the jungle.
Man, just going in on his own. He gets the pick up of the kill. Could look towards ClawLegend, but ClawLegend will find the access time and take down Just Lion. It'll slow down the aggression from OutCold Gaming for a moment. Pyro or Fire Giant was on the cards there, but Just Lion was really going in for the plays.
Interesting plays.
See the surrender vote?
Interesting plays. I'm sorry?
Surrender vote already came out.
We saw the surrender go through last time.
I'm not sure it'll be this one.
Interesting plays here, and again, a little bit better attention paid to Hebo as he finally does fall down the wayside. But he's been the thorn in the side. The VGSGods. ClawLegend dies for the first time, surprisingly, 4-1-3. And you know what? I need to take that back. Surprisingly, because we didn't have many high expectations out of this. But at the end of the day, he has done the job of the jungler. He has played relatively well, 4-1-3, strong player damage. But the team, I think the Ullr jungle was more of my point, and maybe that has collapsed. But your point, in the sense that there isn't much engaged, there isn't much team fight outside of the core team fight here. There's a hell of a lot of team fight with ISIS and Tier Toxic and everything, but how do you start it? How do you end it is the question that VGSGods have asked themselves a number of times. It's a question that you asked yourself coming into this match, and I think the question still remains unanswered.
I think that's the biggest problem. It's more than anything else from VGS. I mean, coming into this set, though, overall time, OutCold Gaming 7-1 for the season. Meanwhile, VGSGods 2-6. You know, it's a tale of like top versus bottom, which we've seen before. And this is the bottom VGSGods trying to, you know, find something to find a win, maybe throw OutCold Gaming off the game and start things off. It didn't work out too bad with the pressure in the solo lane, but I'm just more worried about like they're focused so early on the early game and getting an established lead that they've not looked past the early game to the mid or late where they really are falling apart as it will happen.
OutCold Gaming wants the team fight fall apart. Thought about engaging. Stutter stepped, backed off. Oni Fury is here, 20 minutes. Players kind of watching out. Xbalanque going to go return to the lane to farm, and that will send OutCold Gaming a little bit forward. mrsacx being aggressive, as is Cynortas. But Just Lion is not here.
So we expected a blink on Geb, at least I did, for the fact that he needed an initial engager, but instead, it's going to go for the shell. Makes sense, because the amount of damage can maybe keep the ISIS alive a little bit longer from the crushing wave. Instead, we get ClawLegend with the blink on an Ullr, which I think is a little bit, you know, overconfident in my eyes with how this game's gone so far.
What? Now OutCold Gaming pick up the objective, and they're looking for more. Ultimate out of Kinder Warrior, a little bit off the mark, and now he's a sitting duck. Marky Sparky puts down Kinder Warrior, but his opponent answers back with not one, but two. Just Lion looking clean.
Just so you know, while that fight goes on, look at how much attention everybody paid to Kinder Warrior. Yes, he misses his ultimate. Yes, he misses a couple of abilities, but they still win the fight OutCold because everyone was paying attention to Hebo, trying to peel for their carries, and that just left Just Lion and the rest of OutCold Gaming to pick them off one by one. oTPC, that Aegis, last 1.5 seconds, and that's 1.5 seconds extra of waiting around to respawn.
Oof. 21 minutes in. And a 7,000 gold lead. OutCold Gaming looking very strong this time around. Game number 1 was a little bit more of a tug-of-war. Back and forth, back and forth. OutCold Gaming this time has had some trouble with the jungle Ullr, believe it or not. 100% of kill participation. ClawLegend has looked really strong in this game. The Ullr pick has worked out for him largely. But that's the only thing that's worked out for his team, which is the unfortunate part.
And you can play a god in pretty much every role in Smite now, with the fact that there's enough itemization and enough characters that you can do pretty much most
I still don't want to
characters.
see Ares jungle. Ullr's going to have clear, and there's reason to believe.
Sure, and like I'm saying, like you can pretty much play what you want in a role, but will it work in a composition? Will it work against what the enemy's drafted?
Right.
Will it work in the mid, late stages of the game? And if it doesn't, then you need to have answers for those, and there's no answers on VGSGods. It looks like everyone's like, I want to play Ymir. Cool, that means I can play Ullr jungle.
Well, like I said,
okay, I guess I'll play Geb then, and then the game's over because their composition is better.
The comp is... I've started to cover a little bit around on the composition. I think that Ullr does have a lot of the check boxes for a jungler. It's just a lack of a game-changing ult, and that's kind of hurting them because Kinder Warrior is making use of his.
Meanwhile, there's the Darkest of Night used by Just Lion. The fire jump was leashed momentarily as TierToxic was still getting beaten up, and finally he falls down soon after the fact. It's Geb, and now it's only backline left.
Oh, this is ugly. Cynortas with 1, mrsacx with 1, 2 for the Hunter. And ClawLegend will blink and back. There's another blink on top. FataliTyxFire forces the Hunter all the way under the tier 2 tower. There's going to be a little bit of fun being had by the OutCold boys. And the Fire Giant. Don't tell me they don't have the damage.
They should have the damage. It'll just take him a bit of a minute, that's all. It's not an enhanced one either, so they can bring this down. mrsacx has got to do a good job attacking, and Just Lion's got to learn not to get knocked up like that. But it won't hurt too much because everyone on VGSGods is still dead.
There it is. 1 minute shy of the enhanced. Those VGSGods look up at OutCold Gaming, both on the standings and in-game at number 2.
The one thing I'm happy about from OutCold Gaming's point of view, though, is they've not really broken from what they've been doing consistently throughout the league. Just continuing to win the games, even if the enemy teams do unconventional or unusual things, they're still playing their own game.
Right.
My only concern always is going to be Just Lion and how aggressive he's going to play, because he likes fighting a lot, and that can come back to haunt you a little bit, but sometimes it can pay off.
Exactly, and he's just looking for these opportunities to be aggressive. I mean, he was the one that got a triple kill to end game number 1. You know, so if 3 out of 4 times his aggression, if 3 out of 5 times his aggression results in a loss of a team fight and nothing bigger, 1 out of 5 times his aggression results in a loss of a game, and 1 out of 5 times his aggression results in a win of a game.
If I can
do you take that?
If I can get Just Lion to tone down the early game aggression a little bit for how unrequired it really is,
I'll give you that.
And then keep it where it is for team fights and stuff, I think Just Lion's in a much better position overall.
You won't find a disagreement here.
But then again, I've got to take into account I'm playing against VGSGods who are, not doing the greatest. So why wouldn't I play aggressive and just have fun with it too? So it makes some sense.
Don't expect
Okay.
you will have neither.
Jugglers having a little bit of fun, I suppose.
Fatality was a solo lane, just so you know.
That is true. Ravana and the solo lane. It's been a minute.
I think it was just a good selection because I think they telegraphed or had an idea what was going to happen here. They had a lot of availability to put Ravana in the jungle still if they needed to, but they had the opportunity for Hebo and went for it.
Left side siege as Just Lion starts things off, puts up number 22 after the Isis ult pops down. Hebo on the backside finds the ultimate, can't find the target though. Water cannon certainly different. Just Lion gets another kill, 7 without a death as Kinder Warrior puts down the Hunter. And with 3 people left in the base, OutCold Gaming are going to have some fun, crack open the tight one, and then crack open the match.
And end the match more than anything else with a 2-0 victory. I think if anyone at home was watching for the first time, well, they wouldn't be, they wouldn't know what was going on. But if you've experienced and you know the gods in Smite, you saw those 2 compositions, you knew what the result was going to be there.
Exactly. The comp, we were a little bit... It was interesting. I did see some merits of it, but the biggest point that you had, which was the lack of engage, I think really did come into the clutch.
they've got it a little bit secure on the Fire Giant, I guess, with the Circle of Protection, so I was kind of happy about that.
Right.
But defensively, offensively, Siegen, they weren't going to have an opportunity to do that whatsoever. It was more of a skirmish comp than anything else, but when you've got double Hunter, you want to siege towers and objectives.
A little bit rough there. OutCold Gaming, anything but hot like fire. Break it down, Finch.
I'd be more than happy to, Tom. Thanks there, Hindu, as well. Finch and Tolly one more time as we break down a 2-0 for OutCold Gaming. And I think that they were right, the casters, towards the end there, to say that this was expected based on those drafts. I kind of get the idea. ClawLegend certainly showed us that he can play the Ullr very well, right? So it's not as if he's a bad player or anything like that. I just don't think that the draft was all there, and it was probably done too early, and they gave up too much value in exchange.
Combined between the Ymir solo and the ISIS middle, they went 2-12 collectively.
Yes.
Not a good way to end the game. I think that the Hunter's Blessing was an awkward start for the Ymir, getting heavily punished by a lot of ganks, dying several times, giving an early game advantage.
He was first blood, right? Yeah.
Something like that.
So.
Early advantage to OutCold Gaming as a result, and the Geb didn't come online the way that they wanted to because of that early deficit. It's great control between Geb and Ymir, don't get me wrong, but when you have like an Ullr in the jungle, these team fights with a Hachiman coming from that dueling is just not as impactful as opposed to the Terra that they have to worry about. The Habwa that's going into your backline, Raven with Mystic Rush, is not going to be denied.
No, you're exactly right. The Hebo really ended up being a big problem for them, and him being able to go to the back line. And very often, TPC was the one he made his target, right? He jumped right onto him in that middle lane. It took the ice out of the equation early on, or maybe it would even be the Hachiman. It was a lot of problems that OutCold had to worry about, exacerbated, I think, by this Hebo in the jungle for them as well. But, I mean, every time they're in those fights, Darkest of Nights rips through, or Merlin's doing exactly that and getting big blizzard damage in from safety as well. I mean, it was too many high priority picks that I think that they let through, and they didn't show me anything that made me think differently about their value, right? I didn't see anything that made me think, oh, maybe we are overvaluing Xbalanque and you let it through, or maybe we are overvaluing Merlin and you let it through. I didn't see that.
It could be just the fact that, okay, they're 2-6 before the set started. They're not getting into the mid-season invitational, so maybe they're just kind of experimenting for the next split, trying to see what might work for them as their team, trying to figure out their identity.
Right, because, I mean, they have been kind of up and down. Like we said, sometimes TPC is in there, sometimes he's not. So, I mean, this team can't even keep everything stable. So maybe they're trying to see what works with this 5-man unit, like you said, right? And what it is that their identity is. And by the way, if ClawLegend's going to play Ullr that well, and he says to you in picks and bans, I want Ullr, then I get it, right? Get him that Ullr pick. I'm not going to be persuaded, I don't think, that Ullr had to be first picked in that situation.
Oh, I agree. Like, in a typical picks and bans, doesn't matter the league, console, minor league, or pro league, generally, you're not first picking the Ullr with Arthur, Merlin still on the table.
No, definitely just no need or worry that one's going to be taken away from you, at least I don't think in that situation. So OutCold continue their dominance here in PS4 EU, and VGSGods continue to struggle, at least at this point is the best way that I can say it. We'll get the standings updated here for you one more time and take a look at where everyone's at. OutCold 8-1 up at the top. MV3 were the team that was second right behind them. Bedtime's Calling fell to VGSGods last week, and VGSGods there at the bottom.
VGSGods were able to find a victory the last week, but not so much this week. OutCold Gaming stepping it back up, being the consistent team that we know and expect them to be.
Yeah, that plus 13, the plus minus is overwhelming, isn't it? Yeah. It just goes to show how far and away they've been. I think today it was a bit of a return to form for them as well. I said last week I felt like they kind of backstepped a little bit, but now they seem to be back into that form that we've come to expect from them. It's a strong performance from them, but that's just PS4 EU. We have plenty more console coming for you all. We got to go to Xbox EU, and then there's NA at the end of the day there too. So get your drinks refilled because there's plenty more Smite coming your way. We'll be right back.